My name is Dr. Howard Lyon, Senior Chair of the History Department at New Haven College. I'm also the best-selling biographer of Woodward and Bernstein, American Busybodies, and Richard Nixon, the misunderstood patriot. Due to circumstances beyond my control, I find myself with a lot of free time on my hands. I decided to turn my biographical prowess to the fictional Cheersverse and write the definitive life story of Frasier Crane using only the data provided by Cheers, Wings, and 11 seasons of his titular sitcom. In our last episode, we covered the early professional life of Frasier Crane and his ethically dubious relationship with Diane Chambers. We got to Cheers. We're starting to play the hits, people. Are you happy yet? God, these children, they only want to hear what they already know. Damn it! Pathetic! Stupid fuckers! We also left on a cliffhanger. Frasier was selected as the visiting scholar at the University of Bologna and invited his paramour Diane to join him in Europe for 6 months. But somewhere in the back of her mind, she wanted nothing more than to return to the States and reconcile with her ex-lover, Sam Mayday Malone. Frasier was blissfully unaware of these complicated feelings as the two landed in Europe, him with an engagement ring packed away. Their first stop? London. There, the two visited Big Ben, the Tower of London, and watched the changing of the guards. Their trip then took them to France, where they boated on the Seine and took in the beautiful Notre Dame. Next, Florence, where they visited the Ponte Vecchio. Then, off to the Alps for some skiing. It was truly a whirlwind of beautiful and historic places. I've been to Europe myself. It's not great. We have all of those things here in Connecticut. Skiing, old churches, boats, and Connecticut has better food than all of Europe combined. Nothing in Italy comes close to a tomato pie from Frank Pepe's. That's for damn sure. After returning to Italy, Frasier was ready to pop the question. And he knew the perfect place, a restaurant called Luigi's. There, he would ask for Diane's hand. And when she said yes, he would whisk her away to a country estate in Florence owned by a colleague, Dr. Marino. A priest would be waiting for the happy couple, ready to wed them right then and there. It was the perfect plan. But things did not go according to plan. The first bad omen was at Luigi's. Frasier and Diane were surprised to find that the dining room, usually bustling with patrons, was completely empty. They discovered that the owner of the place, Luigi himself, was buried that morning. In accordance with his last wish, the restaurant remained open, although the regulars knew better than to come in. The grieving staff did their very best to accommodate these American tourists. Despite the gloom saturating the air, Frasier asked Diane to marry him. I, too, know what it's like when a perfect plan doesn't come together. Suffice to say, I didn't expect to be wearing an ankle monitor. I didn't think I'd ever be legally confined to my pathetic post-divorce apartment. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. I am a worldly man of letters, goddammit, not some street thug. Diane didn't answer right away. She needed a moment and excused herself to think. What Frasier didn't know was that she called Sam. Mayday Malone, trying his best to keep his own intense feelings a secret, offered no objection to the wedding. And so, still playing her part in this lengthy game of will they, won't they, Diane returned to Frasier and accepted. The very next day, at the Marino estate, Frasier stood at the altar with his wife-to-be. But here was the moment where Diane came face to face with the feelings she had been running from. When the priest asked if she would marry Frasier, she looked around and asked if he was talking to her. And within moments, she ran, leaving Frasier at the altar and ending their romance once and for all. I had a very happy wedding. Sheila and it was in Maine. We hired a close-up magician. He pulled a Kennedy $50 from behind my ear. I still have that coin. Sometimes I just hold it. Heartbroken and humiliated, Frasier's woes went from bad to worse. His sad story spread through the University of Bologna, where students and faculty laughed and gossiped about his misfortune. From there, it spread throughout Italy. It had become so infamous that in a game of soccer, when a player kicked, missed a ball, and fell down, the Italians called that a Frasier. If he was knocked out cold, they called it a Frasier crane. The stink of this breakup seeped into every aspect of Frasier's life. Just as swiftly as Diane ran from the altar, Frasier lost his tenure and his practice. No one took him seriously, and he once again found himself alone. To make matters worse, all of this happened right before his 15th high school reunion, causing Frasier to think that these reunions were cursed. Heartbroken and bitter, he again found himself in Seattle, sitting with the most pathetic alumni there, the chess club's barbershop quartet, aka the Checkmates. As the pieces of his life were falling around him, Frasier was able to see what happened with clarity. Why Diane did this. Why she kept these secret feelings from him. Their whole relationship came into a greater focus, and a villain emerged. The reason this all happened was because of Sam Malone. Fueled by heartache and despair, Frasier returned to the bar where he had spent so many happy nights. Upon his return to Cheers, he met a fresh-faced young bartender named Woody Boyd. Frasier was in no mood for polite introductions and cornered Malone, threatening him with a gun. I can't say I blame Frasier. When I found out my ex-wife started dating this 20-year-old so-called man, this lacrosse player, Dylan McCurdy. Ultimately, Frasier's threat was toothless. The gun was unloaded. He revealed that he had been receiving therapeutic care from his mentor, Dr. Bennett Ludlow. And despite whatever happened or didn't happen between Sam and Diane, he was determined to stay friends with Mayday Malone. Over the next few months, Frasier drowned his sorrows with liquor and beer in the bar where everybody knew the pathetic thing that happened to him. Slowly, surely, things picked up. He returned to his office, his title was reinstated, and he even started dating again. He met an interesting woman, another psychiatrist. Her name was Lilith Sternin. Despite the initial attraction, their first date did not go well. Lilith closed the car door on Frasier's hand, the two bickered constantly, and Lilith left rather abruptly. It did not seem like it was meant to be. Frasier, undaunted, persisted in the dating game. He met a friend of Sam's, a fun-loving woman named Candy Pearson. They spent a whirlwind 16 hours together, and on a lark, got engaged. And although they almost did wed, right at the bar even, Diane was able to step in and stop things, giving them both time to clear their heads and realize what a mistake it would be. Despite a poor record in the dating game, Frasier's professional life was blossoming. He once again became an in-demand face of academia in the greater Boston area. That's why he was invited to appear on Psychology This Week, a local TV show where a panel of psychiatric professionals debated certain aspects of the psychological condition. Frasier was set to appear against a colleague, Dr. Foster. Unfortunately, Foster had to back out at the last minute. His replacement was none other than Frasier's former date, Dr. Lilith Sternin. It was as if fate itself stepped in to give these two another chance. Do you ever wish a room full of writers controlled your life? Maybe then they would give out happy endings. Maybe I could see Sheila again. Maybe I could be rich again. What's your name?
Quinn.
Quinn?
Quinn.
Is that your last name?
No.
What the hell kind of name is Quinn? Were your parents hippies? Fine. I know you have a heart out at 4. Okay, I'll soldier on. Dr. Lilith Sternin was born in 1955 in New Jersey. Even as a little girl, she led a very disciplined life. This may be related to some lingering trauma. While still a child, her father told her to close her eyes, and then he was gone for 2 years. When he returned, he had a whole new family, including a young son, her half-brother Blaine. Perhaps Lilith's rigid lifestyle and dedication to academic achievement kept her focused on the future instead of her tragic past. I used to fantasize about my father leaving for years and years. That's not trauma. That's paradise. At 31, Lilith was a decorated medical professional on the psychiatric staff at Boston General Hospital and an aspiring author. She was a dedicated researcher, a proud Jewish woman, and due to a strange genetic quirk, she had 2 different-sized feet. To some men, this is not a quirk so much as an incredible blessing. I'm not one of those men. I have other proclivities. To prepare for her appearance on Psychology This Week, Lilith received a glamorous makeover from Diane Chambers. When the two finally met on air, Frasier could not believe his eyes. Lilith also enjoyed the attention, and in front of their entire viewing audience, the two shamelessly flirted. The episode ended with them playing an intense game of footsie. This must have driven some of those men I mentioned earlier crazy. But, as I stated, I am not one of them. No. I need more. Overcome with embarrassment from this lascivious display, Frasier approached Lilith to apologize, fully intending to never see her again. But they were both overwhelmed by their attraction, and what was supposed to be a goodbye became a deep kiss, a drink at Cheers, and a night of passion at Dr. Sternin's condo. The two began dating from that magical night on. I met my ex-wife at a graveyard. She was there to pay her respects to her family. I was there to gloat at my enemies. 1987 brought so much joy to the Crane family. Niles and Maris were still in the honeymoon years of their new relationship, and Frasier and Lilith's love story was just getting started. But tragedy was creeping around the corner. That year, Marty Crane received some devastating news about his wife. Hester, the fiery know-it-all, was diagnosed with terminal breast cancer. We will follow up on that sad turn of events in our next episode. But before we go, a few words about Lilith. There's this keyboard tough guy, true Frasier fan 92, who has been riding my ass about my biographical legwork since episode 2. He's taken umbrage with some of my calls, and I know he won't be happy about the ones I made here. But I made the calls. They're the right calls, and if you leave another poor review, I will find you, I have people I can call, and then they'll... You see, Lilith's birth year is never revealed. Phoebe Newirth, the talented actress I know best from the underrated Tia Leone vehicle Madam Secretary, was born in 1958. I didn't want to move too far from that, so I settled on 1955, making her 3 years younger than Frasier. That seemed both appropriate and correct. She's also never canonically revealed to be from New Jersey, but her grandfather was. I like New Jersey. I listen to Bon Jovi like any other average Joe. It's about time we had a proper New Jerseyan in the Cheers verse. So while my decisions aren't strictly canon, they're canon to me. And they should be canon to you. Who else is doing this sort of deep dive? I'm doing the work. I deserve to make the calls. When you work hard, you deserve to get good things. That's how America works. Sorry, I'm just getting upset, and my lawyer advised me not to make these episodes while I was upset. Let's call it here. When we meet next, grief tears Frasier apart. There are some weddings. There's a baby. There's Kirstie Alley. Make sure to tune in. I look forward to exploring the rich world of the Crane family further with you. This is Dr. Howard Lyon, and that's a wrap on this episode of The Frasier Files.
Thank you for listening to The Frasier Files. The Frasier Files was researched, written, and performed by Stephen Winchell and developed for audio by Stephen Winchell and Ian Abramson. This episode also featured Adam Goron as Quinn, directed by Lara Unnerstall, with audio recording and production by Adam Goron. Music by Stephen Winchell and Takuya Yoshida. If you enjoyed our program, please rate and review us on your podcatcher of choice. You can find us on social media at Frasier Files, on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Blue Sky. You can also send us an email at FrasierFilesPod@gmail.com. Thank you again for exploring the rich world of Frasier Crane with us.